listen. See, I wasn't the here's my record collection type of guy or kid. I was, here are the 5 records I listened to on a loop constantly. And I'm not kidding. That was it. I didn't really have collections of anything. I would just listen to the same handful of albums on a loop. And also, I must say, with Miss Streisand, I also discovered Bette Midler, and yeah, we're got some soul in there bouncing around. No offense, please, but I'm over that part. So whatever. I don't mean to be insensitive, but like I said, it is what it is. Okay, so now disco comes along, right? Now that changes the playing field a little bit. In 1977, 78, see, I'm like, in this sort of, blues, rock, blues. See, because blues is like my thing. Okay, to this day, my favorite female vocalist is Dinah Washington. Go figure. She is the queen of blues. It's, queen of soul is Aretha Franklin, queen of blues, look it up, is Dinah Washington. Dinah with an H. And that's just my personal, that's where I landed. It's not the only thing I listened to, but that's where I landed. So point being, then I, slide, headlong into disco, and, because of, friends, I, get to be with disco royalty, like, Donna Summer in the recording studio and at her concerts backstage and everything. So I'm swerving a little bit now, but then again, aside from like the Marauder influences and stuff, disco is very driven by, talk about appropriation. Anyway, we won't go there, but there's lots of Black communities involved with disco music, not the kind that I was into though, pre-disco. So now I'm ping-ponging within the disco arena again, sort of, kind of, predominantly in a kind of appropriated way, disco. Now, here is where we land with part number 3, is everyone thinks that Sean literally tripped into being a punk rocker. No, it's not how it happened. Disco boy to punk didn't quite happen that way. There is a thing called ska. And you may, if you're not familiar with the genre of music, you definitely want to Google it. The Specials' second album, More Specials, is the best ska album ever made, in my humble opinion, and one of the best albums ever made, in my humble opinion. Anyway, ska music is sort of like if you took, like, very kind of crunchy, a term that I learned from my friend Craig Chester in 1894, that it carries a lot of positive meanings in descriptives. But if you took sort of like I don't want to say a poppier punk, and then blended it with sort of, music that was very much stemming from African American or Black communities in the United Kingdom. Okay. That was ska. It was very beat driven, heavy beat driven. And if you were really into ska and you were a guy, you were a rude boy. And if you were really into ska and if you were a girl, you were a beat girl. So I went from disco boy to rude boy. I didn't go from disco boy to punk rocker. But being a rude boy, that then sort of pushes you into a lot of, you could say, maybe harder core scenes in the music scene in Los Angeles. And then I'm at Black Flag concerts in Doc Martens and crucifixes flying around in a mosh pit. Go figure. I do not know how to make sense out of any of that, but I hope you're able to. Thank you for joining me on this weird ass journey through music, from me buying my first album at 7 until Dinah Washington today, and being a rude boy somewhere in between. So take good care of yourselves. Again, thank you. And don't forget, I love you. Bye.